Hello students, welcome you all in science online class. Students, in last video we have covered the types of forces. Okay, so what are the types of forces? Contact force and non-contact force. And in contact force we have seen two types of forces, that is muscular force as well as frictional force. And in non-contact force we have seen three types of forces, that is gravitational force, which is attractive in nature, then magnetic force, which attracts other magnet. Why it attracts other magnet? Because it generates magnetic field around it. And the third force is electrostatic force. In that, what we have seen, we have understand that topic with the through an activity, and that activity was take a table, okay, and take a straw. Now cut that straw into two equal pieces and hang one straw at the edge of this table. Okay, at the edge of this table. Now the other piece of the straw, rub that piece of the straw on paper or on a cloth. Now what happened? After rubbing, that straw will get charged. Okay, now bring that charged straw near to this uncharged straw. Now what will happen? When the charged straw come closer to this uncharged straw, then there is the electrostatic force of attraction takes place between these two straw. Okay, जैसा कि हम मैग्नेट पे पढ़े हैं कि मैग्नेट कब अट्रैक्ट होता है? when unlike poles are there, when opposite poles are there, then magnets attracts, the poles of the magnets attracts. Similarly here also, when when one body is charged and another body is uncharged, and when they both come closer to each other, then electrostatic force of attraction takes place between these two bodies. Okay, similarly when the bodies repel, when both the bodies are charged or when both the bodies are uncharged. Okay students, so when both the straws are charged, then what will happen? Then electrostatic force of repulsion takes place in between these two straws. Understood students? Okay, now what is the SI unit of force? SI unit of force is Newton. SI unit of force is Newton. Newton. Okay, and this Newton is denoted by a capital letter N. And ये किसके नाम पे पढ़ा? ये एक साइंटिस्ट के नाम पे पढ़ा जिनका नाम था आइजैक न्यूटन. Understood students? Okay. Now students, have you ever noticed that why a sharp blade gives a O's shape, or why a sharp knife is more effective in cutting a fruit than a blunt knife? ऐसा क्यों? कोई भी जो चाकू है, जो शार्प चाकू है, वो इजीली कैसे किसी चीज को काट देता है? What happened? What's the reason behind it? Okay students, so these are the effects of forces which acts on a area. Okay, and the combined effects of force and areas which acts on it is described by a quantity, and that quantity is called pressure. Okay, so let's start the next topic, that is pressure. So the next topic is pressure. Pressure. So what is pressure? What do you mean by pressure? Pressure is defined as P is equal to F upon A. Means what? Pressure means what? Force acting per unit area, that is called pressure. Okay students. So P is equal to F upon A, or in other words we can describe or we can define this as P is directly proportional to F and P is inversely proportional to A. Okay, now what's the meaning of this directly proportional? Directly proportional means what? If one amount increases, then the other amount also increases at the same rate. Okay, and what's the meaning of this inversely proportional? Inversely proportional means that if one amount increases, then other amount decreases. If this increases, then this will decrease. If this will increase, then this will decrease. Okay students, so inversely proportional means what? One amount increase and other amount decrease. And directly proportional means what? At the same rate they both increases. Okay, so P is equal to F upon A, force acting per unit area, that is called pressure. And what's the SI unit of pressure? Pressure units is Pascal. Okay, so unit of pressure pressure is Pascal. Pascal, and it's denoted by letter PA. Understood students? So this is the pressure. Okay friends, now let's see what are the application of pressure. Okay, so next topic is application application of pressure, application of pressure. So the first application of pressure is camel can walk easily through desert. Why? Because the feet of the camel is broader. Okay, तो camel को आप देख रहे हैं, camel का जो पैर है, उसकी जो feet हैं, वो क्या है? Broader है. It means that the area is more, so it exerts less pressure on the desert and it can walk easily through the desert. Okay students, now the second application of pressure is pointed heel. So in this figure you can see pointed heel. Okay, so pointed heel, the surface area of that heel is very less. Okay, and if the surface area of that heel is very less, then it exerts more pressure and it is very difficult to wear that pointed heel for a long time. Okay, if I compare this pointed heel with flat heel, so the surface area of the flat heel is more and there the pressure will be less. So it is possible to wear that flat heel for a long time, but it is difficult to wear the pointed heel for a long time because it gives pain. And why it gives pain? Because the surface area of that pointed heel is very less. Okay. Now come to the third application. The third application of pressure is porter. ठीक है, पोर्टर, पोर्टर क्या है? जो हमारे सामान को कैरी करता है. ओके, सो पोर्टर कैरी अ हैवी लोड ऑन हिज हेड. तो आप देख रहे होंगे फिगर में कि पोर्टर के हेड और सामान के बीच में एक कपड़ा रखा हुआ है. सो व्हाई पोर्टर पुट अ क्लॉथ ऑन हिज हेड? So porter क्या करता है? Porter make a round of that cloth and put on his head. So here the porter has increases the surface area of that cloth so that the porter experience less pressure or less force on his head of that luggage. ओके, तो लगेज का जो प्रेशर आ रहा है, लगेज का जो फोर्स आ रहा है उसके सर पे, वो कम लगेगा. क्यों? बिकॉज कपड़े का जो उसने कपड़े अपने सिर पे रखा है राउंड करके, उसने क्या किया? उस कपड़े का सरफेस एरिया को बढ़ा दिया है. तो अगर एरिया इंक्रीज होगा तो प्रेशर क्या होगा? प्रेशर विल बी डिक्रीज. इफ एरिया इज more, then pressure will be less. So the surface area of that cloth is more, that's why the pressure exerted will be lesser. Understood students? Okay, now come to the next application of pressure, that is syringes and needles. Okay, now see in this figure, syringes and needles, they have a pointed needle. Okay, so if pointed needle is there, then the area of that pointed needle is very less. So if area of that pointed needle is very less, then pressure exerted will be more. अंडरस्टूड स्टूडेंट्स? तो अगर एरिया कम है तो प्रेशर क्या होगा? प्रेशर ज्यादा होगा. ठीक है. नाउ कम टू द नेक्स्ट एप्लीकेशन ऑफ प्रेशर इज द रियर व्हील ऑफ ट्रैक्टर्स मेड ब्रॉडर. Okay, the rear wheel of tractor made broader because the broad tire reduces pressure on the soil and because of this the tractors travel through the soil easily. Okay students, now the next application of pressure is skier on snow. So you can see figure, skier use large and flat skies to slide on snow. So the surface area of that skies is very large or very is more. So if area is more, then pressure exerted on snow will be less, so that skier slides on the snow without sinking it. Okay students, now come to the next application of pressure, that is straps of bags. Okay, so you can see in figure, straps of bag are made thinner and it has more area. So if area is more, then it reduces the pressure on the shoulder of the children. Okay students, now come to the next application of pressure, and that is all cutting instruments like knife, axe, blade are sharper at cutting edge. So the sharper cutting edge has smaller area, and if area is small, then it exerts more pressure and if pressure is more, then they can penetrate on things, or they can penetrate on the surface of the things easily. Okay students, so these are the application of pressure. Now we will see pressure exerted by fluids. So here fluids means what? It can be gas or it can be liquid. So let's study about how the pressure exerted by fluid. Pressure exerted exerted by fluids. Pressure exerted by fluids. Okay students, so pressure exerted by fluids. So fluid means what? Fluids means gas as well as liquid. So pressure exerted by both gas as well as liquid. So let us understand this through an activity which is given in your textbook. So first activity is activity 1. Okay students, so let us see this figure. Here this is a cylinder and one end of the cylinder is tied with balloon. Okay. Now fill half cylinder with water. Now what you'll observe? You will observe that the balloon gets bulges out. Okay. आप देख रहे हैं कि जब पानी भर रहा है सिलेंडर में तो बलून क्या हो गया? बलून थोड़ा सा बढ़ गया. Okay. So here what is the conclusion? Conclusion is that the water exerts pressure. That's why the balloon also gets exerted by that water, because water exerts pressure on the side of the balloon also. Okay, so water exerts pressure in all direction of the balloon. That's why the balloon also gets bulges out. Okay, now pour some more water in cylinder. Now what you'll observe? You will observe that balloon gets bulges more. Okay, balloon क्या हो गया? Balloon और ज़्यादा फुल गया. Okay students, so here the conclusion is that water pressure is exerted by water at the bottom of the cylinder and it depends on the height of its column. Okay students, so come to second activity. Second activity. So see, this is second activity which is given in your textbook. Here, take a plastic bottle. Okay. Now, fix a cylinder at the bottom of this bottle and tie a rubber sheet at the end of the cylinder. Okay. Now, pour water into that bottle. Now, what you will observe? You will observe that water exerts pressure on the sides of the container so that the rubber gets bulges out. ओके. जब पानी पानी क्या है? पानी को जब बॉटल में डाला गया तो वाटर ने क्या किया? वाटर प्रेशर एक्सर्ट कर रहा है ग्लास बॉटल की साइड्स पे. तो वाटर जब साइड्स पे प्रेशर एक्सर्ट कर रहा है तो वाटर क्या हो रहा है? वाटर सिलेंडर में जा रहा है और रबर शीट में को भी फिल कर रहा है. If more water is poured on that bottle, then what happens? Water exerts more pressure, then the rubber will get bulges out more. Okay, so this shows that water exerts pressure on the sides of the container. Understood students? Okay, now come to the third activity. Third activity, take a bottle, okay, and make 3-4 hole at the same height. Okay, now what you'll see? When you fill that bottle with water, what you'll see? You will see that the water comes out through the hole. Okay, so here water exerts equal pressure in all directions. That's why the water comes equally through all the holes. Understood students? So water exerts pressure. This proves that the pressure is exerted by water. तो हमने यहाँ पे देखा कि एक बॉटल है, बॉटल में हमने 3-4 होल कर दिए थे. जैसे ही पानी डाला तो क्या होगा? वाटर उन होल से निकलने लगा. और आपने ये भी देखा कि वाटर कम्स आउट थ्रू दैट होल इन equal amount. Okay, so here water exerts equal pressure. That's why the water comes through that hole. Understood students? So water exerts pressure, equal pressure in all direction. This is the conclusion of this activity. Okay, now students, pressure exerted by fluids. अभी हमने liquid के बारे में देखा कि pressure is exerted by water. Is pressure is also exerted by air or gases? See, Air is mixture of gases. Okay, so air also exerts pressure. How? टेक अ बलून. अभी तो आपका बलून क्या है, ओरिजिनल साइज में, छोटा साइज में है. सो आप जब उसमें अपने माउथ से प्रेशर से एयर रिलीज करते हैं तो क्या होता है, दैट बलून गेट्स इन्फ्लेटेड. Okay, that balloons get inflated means what, the air exerts pressure on the walls of that balloon, that's why the balloons get inflated. Okay, बलून प्रेशर जो आप दे रहे हो उससे क्या हो रहा है, एयर भर जा रहा है बलून में, और अगर एयर भर जा रहा है बलून में तो बलून की साइज क्या हो रही है, बढ़ जा रही है. ओके स्टूडेंट्स, नाउ इफ यू मेक अ 3-4 होल्स इन दैट बलून, और अब अगर आप अपने माउथ से प्रेशर से एयर रिलीज कर रहे हो तो क्या बलून इन्फ्लेट होगा? आंसर इज नो, बलून विल नॉट इन्फ्लेट. ओके, सो एयर ऑल्सो exerts pressure. Understood students? Okay, now let's see the next topic, and this is the last topic of this chapter, and the topic is atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure. Okay, so students, in last class or in 7th class you have studied about atmosphere. So how will you define atmosphere? The layer of air that surrounds the earth is called atmosphere. Okay, so this is the earth. Okay, so our earth is surrounded by layer of air, and air is what, air is mixture of gases, so this is called atmosphere. Earth is surrounded by layer of air, that is called atmosphere. So here question arises that does air also exerts pressure, or atmosphere also exerts pressure? Yes, the answer is yes. So let us understand how atmosphere exerts pressure through an activity. So what you have to do, take a glass jar and a tray, and that tray is filled with water. Okay, so suppose this is a tray. Okay, this tray is filled with water. Okay friends, now what you have to do, place a lighted candle on this tray. So here this is the lighted candle, place lighted candle on this tray. Now, after this, cover this lighted candle with inverted glass jar. Inverted glass jar. So this is the inverted glass jar. So after some times, what you'll observe? What will happen to this glass jar? What will happen to this candle, lighted candle, and the water level of this tray and glass jar? So here, after some times, what we observe? We observe that atmosphere exerts a pressure on this tray. So the level of the water is rises in the glass jar, and the level of the water is reduces in this tray. So this tells that atmosphere exerts a pressure. Understood students? Let's see one more examples of atmospheric pressure, and that is rubber sucker. Okay students, so see this is the figure of rubber sucker. So here rubber sucker get stick to the surface of the earth. So what happened here? Here the air which is present in between the rubber sucker and the surface of the earth escapes out. ठीक है, तो जो एयर रबर सकर और अर्थ सरफेस के बीच में जो रहता है वो एयर क्या होता है, वो निकल जाता है और रबर सकर सरफेस पे स्टिक कर जाता है. तो इन दोनों के बीच में क्या बन गया, इन दोनों के बीच में वैक्यूम बन गया. ओके, सो हियर व्हाई रबर सकर गेट स्टिक्स टू द सरफेस ऑफ द अर्थ, because of atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure applies more on rubber sucker, that's why it gets stick to the surface of the earth, and it is very difficult to pull that rubber sucker. Thus atmosphere exerts pressure. Okay students, you all know that atmosphere extend up to several kilometers above the surface of the earth. So what is atmospheric pressure? Atmospheric pressure is defined as the the pressure which is exerted exerted by by the atmospheric air atmospheric air is called atmospheric pressure. Understood students? So let's imagine a unit area and long cylinder stand on it filled with air. Okay, so this is unit area on surface of the earth. Okay, and a long cylinder stand on it filled with air, filled with air. Now, the air which is filled inside the cylinder, so the weight of that air is nothing but atmospheric pressure. Okay, so here I want to tell you that there is 1 kg of atmospheric pressure on 1 square centimeter surface of earth. For example, say if area is area is 15 centimeter into 15 centimeter, then the atmospheric pressure will be 225 kg. स्टूडेंट अगर एरिया 15 सेंटीमीटर इंटू 15 सेंटीमीटर है, इफ this 15 centimeter, this 15 centimeter, then what will be the atmospheric pressure? Atmospheric pressure will be 225 kg. तो हमारी बॉडी इस एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर को फील क्यों नहीं कर पाती? अगर इतना एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर है तो हमारी बॉडी फील क्यों नहीं कर पाती? हमारी बॉडी क्रश क्यों नहीं हो जाती? हमारी बॉडी अंदर धंस क्यों नहीं जाती? इसलिए ऐसा होता है क्योंकि इतना ही प्रेशर हमारी बॉडी के अंदर से बाहर की ओर लगता है. Thus, we can say that outside atmospheric pressure is equal to inside body pressure. Okay, students. So that's all for this chapter. I hope you understand this chapter very clearly. And if you have any kind of doubt, you can ask me. That's all for today's class. Have a nice day.